Hey everybody, I'm here with Studio 7 and business owner, self-made, Jonas. Tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
A little bit about myself. Started in the media industry about 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and not anything really to do with my major at all in college. I just wanted to be creative. I wanted to do what I liked, do what I loved, and make a living from it.
I feel you. Which brings me to my first question, which is very interesting. Okay, for what I want to know is this, because I know you went to school for computer science. Am I right?
hmm
And did photography start off as like a hobby, or were you always interested in having a future with it?
I wasn't really interested in photography at all. But I did like creating memories, right?
Oh, I feel you. I
I
feel you.
did like creating memories. I've been ever since Snapchat came out and
Mhm.
hit the streets, so to speak.
It's funny you say that because
Um, I've been like recording and saving all sorts of memories, all sorts of moments. I was always that one person in the friend group that always had their phone out, you know, recording something and saving it. And every time that we had a memory, with my friends, I always had the video to go with it, right? And it just made it even funnier because every time something came up, and then I would just drop the video in the group chat, and everybody would be like, "What? How did you?" Yeah. So other than that, I like being creative, compiling videos and things like that. So um, hence the hat. I am more film based. I'm a film creator. You know, and so with me being in that lane of me just when I started off, I just had a camera and um sorry, scratch that. Before I started, I was just starting to edit things, right? And just
Mhm.
compile random videos, funny videos, and things like that, and making them look really cool and appealing, right? And so my heart is um, editing and just altering what people see, right?
Mhm.
And oh, sorry, the train.
Yeah,
Probably
we
got,
we got a
probably got.
train.
That's the only thing about being downtown, like.
Oh, trust me, I stay not too far from here either. It gets irritating, especially at nighttime, man.
Yeah, you're like, man, what are they moving this late? Okay, we better be good. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so I started off editing, right? Editing was my thing, and
Mm.
I became,
So,
known for that,
do
right?
you mind like what? Do you remember what editing software did you start off with? Was it
Yeah.
just iMovie?
No. Well, actually, yeah, iMovie was like the first. That was back in high school. They had iMovie out,
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated high school in 2015 for time reference. But around like 2014, I was on iMovie, just trying to move stuff, just trying to put multiple clips together because that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really that common back then. We had Vine and stuff, but that was it.
Yeah,
But
I remember them
yeah,
days.
Vine was pretty cool. But yeah. So long story short, um, I started out editing, and then I started getting stock video to edit, right? And then I was like, man, I want to get my own videos to edit instead of just finding screen recording things and grabbing things from offline and downloading videos and trying to put them together. I was like, man, I want to just get my own stuff. So I started recording stuff with my phone. One of my colleagues was like, hey, I love your videos. I love the way you edit. I want you to shoot my wedding. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know about that. For one, I don't have a camera. For two, you don't get any do-overs in weddings. You just got to get it right the first
Yeah,
time.
it's just like, cause like with photos, like you can retake a photo
Yeah, exactly.
anytime, but like with a video, like you can retake a video, but like just those little aspects,
Yeah,
it like can change anything. Like, oh, in this one shot it can be perfect, but then like somebody can just walk by and mess it up.
yeah,
But you can't replicate like how perfect that first shot was.
exactly. And on
You
top
can't
of
do
that,
that.
I mean, it's so extensive nowadays with Photoshop,
Mhm.
like and altering. actual photos into something that it was, you can veer completely left, from a photo and just make it something it completely was not. With video, you have a little, it's more constraint.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things now with AI that where you can import, some sort of like alterations with videos,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like it doesn't look that good all the time,
Yeah,
and
trust me, I
it
know.
looks kind of fake in AI. But you know, I started doing that, but people were like, "Hey, they saw I had a camera. And they're like, can you take my picture? Can you take my picture? Can you take my picture?" And I was like, "No, because I'm a videographer,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's two different things. Two different
Yeah,
things."
that's interesting to know because like I thought like in my head it was like you were a photographer that like ventured into like videos
Hmm.
just for a little bit.
Hmm.
But you saying like you're a videographer shifting into photos, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, usually it is that way. Usually people do start off with photography and people venture into video. I'm opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I started editing, entered in, editing videos, becoming a videographer, you know, creating, dressing an environment with light, what I'm saying, and other things like that to create the scene, right? And then I ventured into photography, not because I just wanted to, but there was just such a demand for people like, man, I just really, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? And people will see a good video and be like, oh, can you take my picture? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like they would like what they see and they would just figure, hey, that guy knows what he's doing with the camera, he can do my
but like
photos.
they're not thinking about it because like that's two different types of editing processes.
Hmm.
Because like you got way that you edit photos and then like way that you just edit videos, and some of the things are just specifically for them too.
Yeah.
And some people like outside the average person, they don't know that. They just see like camera work is camera work.
Yes. And that's understandable. So I don't
Hmm.
really fault people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not upset or anything that people assume that, but I just got tired of saying no.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I guess I will, start taking photos, right? And so I didn't want to keep inviting people to my apartment in college. And I was like, I had a roommate at the
Hmm.
time, and that was getting kind of weird. Where he wasn't able to come outside in his room, because I had my other little lights up and stuff, and yeah, it was like it was
It wasn't
yeah, it
cutting it.
wasn't gonna work. So then I would start looking for a studio, and here we are.
Now, what brings me to my next question, which like I'm very excited that like to hear your answer on this.
Mm-hmm.
So like, do you have anybody that like you look at or that you have looked at that influences you creatively?
I would say, yeah, there's this one guy in particular. He goes by um Air Daka, Daka David. Um, he did my graduation video, and I saw his film work. Um, I was more impressed by his film work than his, photography.
Mm.
I just think videography is much more immersive.
It's
You know what I'm
something that
saying?
you just can't replicate.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's like there's when you see somebody create something video based, it was that person
yeah.
because you can see their thoughts, you can see you can see what they're trying, the message they're trying to portray. You see what I'm saying? You can see what type of feel that they're
Hmm.
giving. You can see, like, you can tell what's their feng shui, what's their style.
Hmm.
What are they trying to convey? You know what I'm saying? What type of message are they trying to get across? So yeah, I was more impressed with that. And so yeah, he's somebody that I was like, and I told him after he shot my video, and I didn't want to be like one of those clients trying to tell somebody what to do, but I had such a detailed vision in my own graduation video. I was like, man, I was trying to tell them this and that. I was telling them about the FPS and the angles and all sorts of things. Because honestly, when you hire somebody for media, you don't want to micromanage them.
Hmm.
You're hiring them to be a creator, right?
Hmm.
But I was already a creator, so I was kind of like, I wanted it to look a certain way, and it might have been annoying to him. I thank him for bearing with me. But yeah, that's to answer your question. Yeah, that's somebody that definitely looked at and was like, dang, yeah, I'm trying to get on that level.
It's interesting you said that. Like, so, like, are you a big movie or a show person? Like, do you watch that in your past? Watch it in your pastime? Because for me, whenever like I'm starting to get into knowing directors for certain movies more.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I watch like if I watch a movie like Black Klansman, I know that's Spike Lee.
Mm.
If I watch uh the Christian Bale Batman movies, I know that's Christopher Nolan. Like, cause they got certain styles that you know that they did, and I'm starting like
You
to
start to pick
realize
up
that.
on it, yeah,
Yeah, I pick up on it.
yeah. It's you know that is entirely true. I mean, you're right. Same thing with photography.
Hmm.
You know, you can see somebody's work, but this is something that people kind of mess up on. Well, I'm not gonna say mess up, but they don't think about this factor. When you're becoming a media specialist, you want to starting off, you're like, man, I'm trying to make as much money as possible. I want everybody to come to me, and I want, I just want that opportunity to serve as many people as possible. I want to be that go-to person where like, man, if I need this, I'm going to them. You want to be that person initially, right?
Hmm.
But, through experience, you start realizing like if you do everything in every type of style, you have no identity, right? If
Hmm.
you're everything, you're nobody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But if you stick to what you want your photos to look like, people can notice like I know who that came from. You sometimes you won't even have to put a watermark on it or a stamp on it or whatever your signature is from your media company or photographer stamp or videographer stamp or logo. You wouldn't have to put any of that on there because after a while, people start being, they start saying, oh, I know exactly who did that, right? But that's because they've established their brand, right?
Hmm.
Initially, you're just trying to do everything, right? But when you really lock in on a lane and niche down, that's when you can start to really build your identity, right? Um, so it's a battle. It's a battle between, obviously, if you try to go full time in this,
Hmm.
there's a thing that's called a starving artist. It's a saying, right? You don't get a lot of money. You're like it's unpredictable. You're waiting on your next client. You're nervous. You're anxious. Bills can add up. You're like, bro, like, what am I gonna do? I gotta do something. You start taking on other projects just to get money, right? And
Hmm.
that's what you call growing pains. You see what I'm saying? Like you want to stick in one lane in one direction, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So it's a long, arduous journey of solidifying your fan base, your client base, your target audience, and things like that.
Okay. And like when I was watching the interview that you had with the Ideal Bank, and that's how I learned that you were a computer science major. And I also know that you weren't necessarily the biggest fan of going to school
Word.
either.
Yeah.
So, and it made me think of another one of my favorite content creators who's like been emerging in the game, who I feel like y'all had similar path, except like you graduated, he did.
Mm.
It's a music videographer by the name of Cole Bennett.
Okay.
Uh, so what he did when he went to school is it's like he already knew beforehand that he didn't want to graduate. He didn't enjoy school, but like y'all had similar ways. Y'all took advantage of like the opportunities and the people around you and that made connections. So is there like, can you tell me exactly? Because I know you went to seminars.
Hmm.
Is like, how did you go about choosing what seminars you went to, and can you tell me like what was your favorite one that you went to, if you can remember?
Yeah. Um, I've went to a number of seminars. Most of them were about financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
and motivation, mindset,
Mm-hmm.
faith, things like that. And the one that stands out, and I will always remember, I'll never forget it, is the one that sometimes you can take in a lot of information and there's like certain things that stick with you for the rest of your life. And there's like out of all the seminars I went to, in Atlanta, Miami, Houston, things like that. There was one in particular. I can't remember what city it was in, but I think it was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And the speaker said, "Hey, everybody, write down a financial goal." And you know, he was like, "Write down something to believe for." And I was like, in my mind, everybody wants to make six figures, right? And initially, so then I was like, I'm gonna believe for more. I'm gonna believe for seven figures, right? And then after that, I rebranded myself from that day forward as Seven Figures Shaw after that. And that was my name for a long time, right? That was like my Instagram handle. And I made a whole new Instagram, and that's all I spoke about, all I posted about, and things like that. And that was the one seminar that stuck with me the most. And it's not necessarily about what was said, per se. It was more so about just the impact of
Yeah,
being there and
like
just
what
what
it
happened.
made you think, like how it made you feel
Yeah,
after you left.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's about what I did after the fact, right? It's about like what I took from it and what it how it kind of had a lasting impact on my decisions after that. You see what I'm saying? Um, yeah, because honestly, like you can go to all these seminars and webinars or attend all the webinars or whatever, and it can feel good in the moment. It can be, really rile you up, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't implement things that you
Hmm.
learn from there. It's like all for naught.
Mm. It's like reading a book without like you know understanding what it's trying to convey, or watching a movie or not getting the message. Like, because like you said, you can keep going to all these seminars, but like at what cost? What are you taking from it?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people do venture in like thinking that like if they go here, it's going to direct them to what they need to be, which is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But like they can only tell you so much. What are you gonna do?
That's right. It's only yeah. It's only so many. I'm not gonna say that. You can be told right things over
Mm-hmm.
and over again. It's like that's like somebody who's working out. Like everybody at this point, everybody knows how to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Got to stop eating as much and move more, be more
Mm-hmm.
active.
That's a good analogy.
That's really it. You know what to do, but some people like to be told it.
Mhm.
They're like, man, I just need somebody to push me. I need somebody to. You already know the answer.
Mm.
You know, you just have to implement it now. That's really it. That's what it boils down to.
That's really good. I like that little workout analogy. I never like put two of those together. That was good. That was good. That's some motivational speaker type stuff right there. Okay. And now I know, like, as a businessman and as a creative person, I know a lot of them they like to venture into reading. Are there any books that you read, or and if so, are there any recommendations?
Yeah, I recommend the Bible. That is, it has every lesson that you could
Because
possibly
I know
learn
you
in
got
there.
like a verse tatted on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I have two of them tattooed on me. Thessalonians 5:17. It says, "Pray without ceasing." Basically, means don't stop praying. And then I have Proverbs. What is it? 16:3, I think. Yeah, 16:3. Commit whatever you do to the Lord, and He'll establish your plans. Basically, like as long as what you're trying to do, is lining up with His will, you'll succeed. Like He's promising that you will succeed.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's just two, right? And
Mhm.
those, don't get me wrong, scriptures are fine and they're powerful, but the stories that hold those scriptures in the Bible. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Though that is what's even more important. You know, it's cool to, you know, repost these, you know, scriptures on Instagram. I do it too, but I definitely encourage you to like actually look at that whole chapter, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
that whole book to see why that scripture was even said. And that right there is what's going to take it even a step further. You're like, wow, this is like my life. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the same things that are happening in this book, in this wonderful piece of literature, everything that happened back then is still happening now. And you know, those characters within those stories, you could think about people in your life and you're like, man, that person is just like this person. You know, that was like 2,000 years ago, you know. So it's, yeah, I think that's the only book I actually read. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like reading.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not that person. I like the type of learning I do, hence why I hated history class and remembering formulas in science class and chemistry and math class and formulas with that too. And yeah, memory and memorization wasn't my like strong suit as far as like looking at something or trying to read it and retain it. That just didn't work for me in my brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a just a, I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm a very creative person. I'm a solution based person, right? I'm a
Mm-hmm.
solution based man, and meaning that I find the efficiency in whatever um, solution that will you know fix whatever problem is at
Mm-hmm.
hand. You know, whether that be a physical problem, a mental problem, a spiritual problem, all sorts of things like that. I'm on that side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was the type of person where I read a page, and by the bottom of the page, I forgot what the entire page said, and so I would start over again. I get about halfway down, and I'll be like, okay, let me make sure I remember what I just read, and I didn't remember it. And so I will go back up to the top, and yeah. So you're talking about reading a book that's like 300 pages.
I feel you.
It's taking me 15 minutes to get through 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not even 5, maybe. You know. So yeah, that. But the Bible's the only book I really read. You know, and even with that, I still may play like the audio version and follow along with it. That just works better for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know. But I know people that are like they can just zoom through a book, remember everything. You know what I'm saying? Apply everything, but yeah, that's not really my cup of tea.
I mean, that's interesting because like the Bible, it had a lot of chapters. Like some people like read the Bible their whole life and still don't never
Yeah,
finish it.
that's right.
But like you said, and I like how you made the analogy, like where you're reading it and the stuff that's still, happening back then is happening today, and you can apply that to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that being the only book that you read, that's perfectly fine. Like, cause like that is like everything that you do is for God.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, would you say? Cause when I went to a church a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
once like they started a new, what's the word I'm looking for? They started a new lesson plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was talking about spiritual gifts. I'm not going there at the moment
Mm-hmm.
because how they do things doesn't necessarily align with me,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's no hate towards them. Like I'm not talking about them at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay, but I took something from it, and
Mm-hmm.
them talking about spiritual gifts was like very interesting to me because I've never thought of like something like being a spiritual gift. Would you say having a passion for like being creative is that your spiritual gift?
I do believe, you know, we're all born with different traits,
Mm-hmm.
and there are, you know, people on this earth that are naturally more inclined to drift this way than that way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, into these gifts or into these, you know, tendencies
Mm-hmm.
of like somebody may be, you know, a great interpreter. Somebody may be somebody that could, you know, they're a great storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are gifts, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you can use those gifts to, you know, exalt God and things like that. But everybody has their, you know, is a piece, right? Everybody's a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody's a little piece to this big, you know, scheme, right? This big plan. And But as far as like my creative journey, I would say yes because I've been able to use my like the direction I drifted in life. I've been able to use that to exalt him too. Like to really like find different creative ways to you know push this message or to lift this up, and to send this type of feeling to people, and trigger certain thoughts and emotions from people, right? Those are things that I've been gifted with.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people that they tell me all the time, and some of the media company's clients, we'll make a media plan for them, and have a meeting with them and build out the whole structure. And sometimes they'll pause and be like, "Man, I'm glad you're here because I'm not creative." Like they'll that just the same way with me reading books. And some on the other end, on the other side of that coin, some people may be amazing at reading books. They read like 5 a week, something
Mm-hmm.
crazy like that. Everybody, has their own lane, and this is just my lane, and yeah, I think it is a gift. Mhm.
It's a good gift, man. I mean, look at where it got you. Yeah, look at where it got you. You got your own vision, but not too many people can say that. And like, that's not like trying to like, overly glaze you and put you at a height, but
Mhm.
like, hey, that's an accomplishment, man.
Yeah,
Like,
or
that's dope.
it's like, and it's like even in that being what it is, um, I know like there was news stations, newspapers, and stuff like that. When we first opened up the studio, they were like trying to make this big story about, oh, how does it feel to accomplish your lifelong journey of opening up a studio? And I'm like, no,
You feel like,
people people don't know
mhm,
that I'm spirit minded in the in the fashion of I don't know what is next. It's not my responsibility to worry,
mhm,
right? The word says focus on today because there's enough problems in today to where you don't need to worry about tomorrow, right?
mhm,
Don't worry about the future. Focus on right now today.
mhm,
Do what you need to do today. Live how you need to live today. So don't worry about tomorrow in the
mhm,
next year and things like that. So this was never my plan.
mhm,
Studio 7 is not a plan that I had,
mhm,
right? It was just what God had. And if you ask me what's going to happen 10 years from now, I don't know. 5 years from now, next year, I don't know. It's not like I'm doubting anything. I just know that I'm not in control at all, right?
mhm,
And with me knowing that, in that spiritual mindset, it's freedom. You know, you're like, hey, look, I don't know what's next. I'm just here along for the ride, and whatever he has for me, it'll just happen. You see what I'm saying? As long
mhm,
as I make sure I live in within his will, and shun evil, and keep living the best I can up to his words. And so it's not like, oh, I'm so great.
mhm,
It's not like Jonas Shaw accomplished this or he made it this far and things like
mhm,
that. This is just another pit stop and
mhm.
wherever he's taking
Yeah, that's one of
me.
them.
So um, I make sure I keep that mindset. To keep me in position of like where who we all actually are as
Mhm,
humans, and you don't get put on a pedestal. A
mhm,
lot of people get caught up in these like worldly accomplishments and
yeah,
like hey, that person did this, she did that, look where she's at now, he did this, blah blah blah, and like the good word says, you have received your reward,
mhm,
meaning that you've by bragging on yourself or accepting these uh, bragging comments and things like that on you, like self-righteous types things, you know, the world will praise you for that. But that's the reward you just chose to receive. If you humble yourself and lower yourself, he'll give you your reward,
mhm,
right? For always giving him back the glory, things like that. So Um, yeah, it's not me. It's not me at all. It's just where he has me right now, and I'm always use whatever that he puts me in to emphasize his name.
Because like and like how you said you didn't know what you know what was gonna happen because like 10 years ago I didn't think I'd be here either. Like I was like, because when I was in high school I thought I was gonna be in the NBA. I'm not in the NBA. Like, and because I thought my passion was basketball. I
Mhm.
still love the game. I still watch it when it comes on.
Mhm.
But like that part of my chapter closed a long time ago. So I came on a process and I've been going through it and I've been dealing with it for years trying to like figure out like, okay, like what am I gonna do next?
Mhm.
Okay. And then that's why I thought when you brought up Snapchat was the first thing that you did, uh that you like where you were making videos and stuff.
Mhm.
And I just found it funny because like it's like looking in a mirror because like back then I used to do Snapchat videos too
Mhm.
and creatively, and people really enjoyed it. It's like how you come up with that, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, I just did it, like
Right.
it just came off the top of my head. People liked it, and then what you said, uh, you didn't want to get caught up in the attention because once it started getting real big, I'm talking about during that time period, like everybody was coming to me, and
Mhm.
I was just like a quiet, smart kid,
Mhm.
shy kid. Then having all these people come to me, like I'm in ninth grade, like I'm
Mhm.
a freshman. I
Yeah.
had people I've never seen before come up to me, and then like I liked it. I really like this. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep on doing it. I'm gonna keep on doing it. And then it came to a point where I didn't like doing it no more.
Mm.
Cause like it's like I let the people like come to me so much,
Mhm.
it started getting irritated to me. And I just quit doing it. And I like doing videos, I really did, but I didn't like how I don't know if they saw it as, something that like they wanted me to keep doing.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like I wanted to keep doing it, but I don't want to keep doing it for y'all.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
I don't want to keep doing it for y'all. Like I want to keep doing it for y'all, but like I got other stuff. I got a bigger purpose than this at the moment.
Mhm.
And I like how you said you didn't want to get caught up in doing this for so and so here, or them trying to put a big story out,
Mhm.
and you didn't want to get caught up in that. I got caught up in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like anybody will get caught up in it. Like a 15-year-old getting attention like
Yeah.
that
Of
never
course.
got it.
Of
Like
course.
anybody is. But like that's just amazing to me because if that never happened, I would have never been where I'm at now because
Mhm.
I'm starting to get back into things creatively.
Mhm.
Because I was always more of a video person, like, and I still to this day it's hard for me to take photos,
Mhm.
and I want to get into that. But like me, it's like I'm taking that similar shift that you did. I'm going up on videos and photos, and I want to like combine them two and get, you know, hopefully, because start my own like business in the future, whether it be, a film studio,
Mhm.
me making movies, or just content creation in
Word.
general. And it's funny. It also brings me to like my next question, whereas, you know, was you when you did the videos on your iPhone and did the edits and everything, okay? What I'm trying to figure out, was that more of like a side hustle at the time or just something that you just dabbled in?
Um. Well,
Or
and
oh, my bad to cut you off.
no,
Was
you
it
good.
just or was it like a hobby that turned into a side hustle that turned into your life?
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I was in college,
Mhm.
so that was my main priority.
Mhm.
Going to class,
Yeah.
writing these papers, going through the motions. And I only came to college for Air Force ROTC, right?
Mhm.
I was supposed to commission as a cybersecurity officer, but I got kicked out the program in my third year. But by that time, I had started my entrepreneurship journey.
Mhm.
Okay, so I had already, rebranded myself. I was deep into financial literacy. making money like that, doing seminars and all sorts of things like that. But when I started the media company, that was the only other thing. Like when I really went all in at first, it was just something I did, on the side while I was in school, right? I didn't have a job per se, but I did cut hair, right? So when I
Okay.
first got to college, I was afraid to let somebody
Else
cut
cut your hair.
my hair
Yeah.
because I was like, man, I've had the same barber for whatever, however many years back home, but I'm really good at seeing somebody do something and I can recreate it, right? So all I did was I just saw my barber cut my hair that one last time, and then I did it from there on,
Oh,
and
that's dope,
and
bro.
like everybody was like, man, who cuts your hair, blah blah blah, and I was like, me, and then I started with like two people, and then it turned into like 10 in a day, and then it was like 40 a week, and yeah, it got really, yeah. But anyway, so at a certain point, I was only involved in financial literacy and being a barber, and then I picked up the media, right? So when I went to the media, only thing I was doing was I think I was still taking some clients as a barber
Mm-hmm.
here and there, but I just went into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had success through grace,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I made sure I made this promise. I told the Lord, I said, look, whatever space you put me in, whatever you put in my hands, I'm going to use it to exalt your name and let people know about you and
Mm-hmm.
your goodness and grace. And that's what I did. Everything I've done, that's what I did, and I've had success in every single thing. And then I came upon this scripture, and so it kind of confirmed everything. The Proverbs 16:3, it kind of confirmed everything. I was like, dang, if you're working for His good and His name, He's not gonna leave you out hanging, right? You know what I'm saying? He's always gonna provide. So that's what it was. I just went into it, and I had no fear because I was like, I know for what reason I'm doing this. I know how I'm going to exalt His name, so I wasn't worried. I just jumped in it, and that was it.
Just trusting in him.
Yeah, just trusting in Him, and it sounds kind of crazy, but supernatural is not normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I started, shooting videos. Well, I did that wedding, right? Then I started doing events, baby showers, little birthday parties. I started shooting videos for the university. And then I started, that was still random though. Everything was random. But then I shifted to corporate, right? Then I started filming for companies, you know, corporations, and yeah, that's where I am now. So yes, that's my path that I took, and I didn't just jump in with a backup plan. I just believe in them. That was it.
And then I know, like, when you were first starting off, you were like, when you first starting off, you were willing just to take anything,
Mm-hmm.
or just go. It's like, cause I remember you saying you were going to like just some businesses and just say, "Hey, can I shoot free content for
Mm-hmm.
you?" And then like some of them would turn it down. But what I want to know is, did you just go into it like just choose who you're gonna talk to randomly, or did you like you go like have like a select few or people like you wanted to ask to do business with or venture into, or did you just look at whatever you saw that was there at the moment?
Right. When you're starting off, whenever you enter a new realm, say if you make it to the top of this mountain
Mm-hmm.
and you keep walking, and now you're like, wow, I'm at the bottom of
Mm-hmm.
another mountain. You know what I'm saying? Usually, when you're just now getting into a new space, you're looking for anything. You're looking for anything to grab onto, right? Meaning that in this case, I was looking for any business clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it was a phlebotomist. I don't care if it was like uh, construction. I don't care if it was workouts. I don't care if it was nutrition. I don't care if it was tax preparer. It didn't matter. I was like, I need to try somebody, like,
Yeah.
therapist, anybody.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a car at the time, so I just I knew I had to. Faith without work is dead. I can't just sit there and just have all the faith in the world and not go out and do things,
Mhm.
right? Um, it's set up like that so we could put forth the effort,
Mhm.
right? Um, so that's what I did, and I walked and ran around the city to these businesses and offered. And you said some of them said no. All of them said no. All of them said no. I vividly remember, the embarrassment, the humility. I'm just like, man, how can so many people say no to
The free business.
something free that will give them it's a free investment, you know. Um, but a lot of people, they bring up the Colonel Sanders story with the, he got turned down 1,000 times, and then on 1,001 somebody accepted it. And like, people look at that as motivation, but like when you really live it, it's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, I know.
It's a
Yeah.
whole nother ball game, and you don't realize what it all entails,
Hmm.
right? There's so many emotions. I've been through every emotion that you could think of getting here today, right? um I got one yes, and um I said this is all I needed. You know what I'm saying? And it was for free. And I was like, man, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna just take the chance. All I needed was one yes, and it was so many months, like a whole year of just literally, walking around the city and just asking over and over and over again. I mean, I'm pitching these media plans. I'm like, it's completely free, blah blah. Nobody was biting on it. One guy did. He's a very good friend of mine now, and it's crazy. His business was on that block over there, and now my business is one block away from where his was.
Wow.
Like, and you know, it just takes one, but it takes within that one is a lot. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like, say if you could think about the solar system and all the different planets and rocks and asteroids and stars and gases and everything out there. And then there's one Earth, right?
Hmm.
You're trying to get to that one Earth, but in the Earth, obviously, there's all these like other intricate things within this one planet. You know what I'm saying? But in the grand scheme of things, there's so many other things, right? So I could visualize that and think like all of these were opportunities, and I just needed one Earth, right? I got that one Earth finally, and so now I'm on the Earth, and I'm running to all, like, I'm tapping into all these different countries, right? Continents, then the countries, and now the cities and things like that. So that's kind of how it it was, right?
Hmm.
So when I forgot that one yes, you know, they knew somebody that, like, that business, the people who went to that business, they were like, oh dang, who did your video? Who did your promo video? And then I was still accepting any and everything.
Hmm.
I was trying to do music videos. I was doing, advertisements, birthday parties, weddings, and still everything. Right now, I only do a select few of things,
Hmm.
right? But that's only because I've vetted out the things in the lanes that I want to,
Hmm.
pursue. So, and it's not like this is. Don't get me wrong. This is not a thing to where you're just like, oh, I finally made it, right?
Hmm.
There's still worry involved. There's still high seasons and low
Hmm.
seasons where you're like, dang man, I really wish, or like, man, I'm low on clients right now. I'm low on retainers. Some people may cancel because some companies, they do better than others, and their own profit fluctuates, so their business from you can fluctuate. It's not like a, oh, I made it type thing, and you're like, you're done worrying. There's always more worry. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Um, but I'm not complaining because that's what life is. That's
Hmm.
just what life is. It's not like you're gonna hit a certain pedestal or a certain milestone, and you're just like, oh, that's it. Like, it's
Hmm.
it's no, it doesn't end there. Um, a lot of people can get caught up in that. They'll see somebody have built something, and they're like, oh dang, A lot of people tell me that too. They're like, man, I've seen your story. I've seen you. I used to document all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even me, walking every day to these cities. I mean, and businesses and stuff like that, and people saw like the real legit process, real and raw. But um, I always make sure I remind people like, look, I mean, it's not like you reach a certain point and you're like, oh, it's finally over. So just prepare yourself mentally to be like, okay, this is a run that this is a race I'm gonna have to keep running. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, yeah, you can get to points to where like you have staff, you have employees, and you can relax a little bit and you don't have to go as hard. But, it's not like it's on like autopilot. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, that's
I mean,
hopefully that gave like
I'm
a
about to
good
say
perspective.
everything like a work in progress. Cause like think about how back then we didn't have. I know you're not a history buff. You said that like electricity.
uh-huh.
Think about like how they started electricity and how far we in gotten, and it's still advancements to be
That's
made.
right.
Like you were saying, work is never done.
Yeah.
Like we can keep on going as longer for a year.
Yeah, you
Like
said it. Yeah, that's right.
so now, what I want to know is this
Mhm.
because I often have this problem. Uh, do you have or have you came up to a point where you ever had creative block? And
Um, yeah.
yeah,
I have had creative block before. Let me see. Hold on. All right. Yeah, I have had creative block before. Because like in the instances I have run into creators block was excuse me was for when people say, hey, it's a double-edged sword being very creative. Okay,
mm-hmm,
it's a double-edged sword. People will be like, "Hey, just do your thing,"
mm-hmm.
right? What is your thing?
Okay,
You know,
that's what I was
like
thinking.
that's so broad. Your thing is like it could mean almost anything. So, it's a lot of thinking prowess in there. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of calculations that are made. To have to come to this, the completed
Mm-hmm,
project. And sometimes, you can sit there for days trying to figure out, man, how am I going to convey this message in this type fashion? They want it flashy, they want it exciting, but they also want it memorable and somber. But they also want it to, you know, be nostalgic. And you're like, huh? But
yeah.
on their end, they're like, hey, we paid you money. You need to make sure you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm,
So that can be like on top of the writer's block or the creator's block, you still have that pressure like, dang, these folks have paid money. I gotta deliver. I gotta come up with something. So then you get over that block because
yeah.
because you gotta deliver, right? Rightfully so, but I mean, it's never stopped though. It's never really stopped. Like, once I dialed in on like my branding as far as like when people saw a video or they just vaguely heard it and they knew it was me, they knew I did it, that's when I knew my brand was solidified, right? But that way I didn't have to do everything. I didn't have to try to create everything. I just had to create it in my own way, right? So that way I didn't have creator's block anymore because I knew what I knew my brand, right? When people like, hey, I want my video to look like that, I want it to feel like that, they know to come to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they wanted to look and feel like something else, I would either direct them to somebody else or they would already know, like, nah, I'm not aiming for that. I'm looking for something like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I dealt with creative block.
Yeah. Cause like, trust me, I had it too. Cause and it could just be like on the littlest things too. and like you said, you got clients who want all this stuff for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like in their head, it sounds like it's very easy
Mm-hmm.
because they're not the ones doing it. But since and they're putting that faith into you,
Mm-hmm.
and like you feel like you have to deliver it, not just because they paid money, like because like they went to you out of all
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
They
yeah.
went, yeah, they went to
Yeah,
you.
people like, I believe in you. I've been, sometimes I'll be like, you sure you wanted to do that? But but like I said, you find a way. You find a way for sure.
Which also brings me to this, and I'm gonna make the analogy because another one of my favorite artists, even though technically he's more of a producer, Metro Boomin.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of his interviews, and I'm about to tie it into what I you said and what I'm about to ask you. In the interview, like when he go through the process of making beats, and Metro Boomin is like a very talented producer, one of my favorites of all time. Like when he does it, there'll be little stuff that like people can't hear or
Mm-hmm.
see that like the little
Yeah.
like beats in the
Uh-huh.
background like that most people can't hear, even though the beat is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say like when you're going through your editing process
Mm.
or doing videos, like somebody could be pleased like with what you did, and then you look at it like, man, I know I could have did better than that. Are there instances where you have that moment where like, or you probably said, okay, I could do this a little bit better. You're finished, but like I still need more that I need to do.
Yeah, and I think I have time for maybe one more question.
Okay.
So, um, yeah, yeah. In short, I have had instances where I would look at somebody else's work and be like, man, this is what I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when I watch movies now. Since I am I work heavy in production. I also have those thoughts crossing my mind, like, man, if I would have probably did it like this. You know what I'm saying? But even in my own stuff, sometimes things they have had to be rushed because time was just not on the client's side, and they were just trying to get something out. And I was like, man, if I had more time, like I would have did this, like I would have, did this and that, or I would have, changed just to make this a little bit better to emphasize whatever message is being conveyed. But yeah, I've definitely,
And
yeah,
this is my last and final question, cause like busy man, I'm pretty sure you got. I know you got other stuff to do,
word.
but I'm gonna end it with a good question. Do you have any projects or favorite projects since you've been down here?
Favorite projects,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's always evolving, man. I can't even, I don't know, because there was a certain point in time where I was just like, man, I always try to top the next one. I always try to top my last
Mm-hmm.
video, top this, top that, top that. But after a while, I started realizing like everything has its own beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has its own, you know, lane. Everything has its own respective, you know, points, and you know you can value a video even though it's not, they're not two of the same videos. They can both be great, right? So I don't really try to rank my videos like I used to. There are some where I'm just like, man, that edit was it was insane, right? But then there are some where like I had more of a subtle editing approach, and it punched like Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think if I had to choose one, it would probably be my 26th birthday video. That would probably be it because I feel like that was when I got the studio. That was like a summation of like a lot of people in my life that came to the grand opening and they got a chance to speak on the video, and they shared their hearts, and like I shared my, like I mixed 3 or 4 songs together, and they had different messages. Well, they had like the same type of message, but it was real creative. Like
Mhm.
it was. I think that was probably it, and that's pinned on my page too, on my Instagram page. Um, yeah, I think that's probably my best one because it shows like a dedication to the Lord. It shows, you know, my humbleness. It shows like my transparency. It shows like it just it's the essence of my life.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Just that one. It's like 2 minutes. It's like a 2 minute video, and I think that would probably be my favorite because of the message behind it.
All right. I really enjoyed this interview with you.
Right.
So
And
thank
I can send it to you actually. I don't know if you probably haven't seen it or not. Yeah, you probably haven't seen it, but I can send it to you and let you see it. It it's like a real quick summary. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's nice. But yeah, man. I definitely appreciate you for stopping by. You know what I'm saying? Glad that we could squeeze some time in too. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Cause I never imagined it being this long. You know, cause like you kept telling us like, man, this is some good information right here. Like you can't make stuff up like this. Like that's good information. But like I appreciate uh you giving me the time to interview you,
Word.
especially right now. So with that being said, is there anything you want to add real quick?
Um. Yeah. Sure. Um. Do your best to keep, God's commandments, and everything else will line up for you. Everything else will line up for you. There's a lot of things that you're going to worry about constantly over and over again throughout your life. It's never going to be easy, right? It's hard being a sinner, and it's hard trying to be righteous. It's hard trying to do right. It's hard doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So um, that's just life, But you know for sure you will come out on top in the end if you keep His word.
Thank you. With that being said, we out.